In this edition of Southern Newsweek, a project to prevent erosion at Ocean Beach nears completion, but is the site in a better condition than before? Two visiting academics prepare to leave the city, but hope their work will be continued locally. And a Dunedin man uses his painful childhood for good as he launches a petition to change the country's child abuse statistics. Kia ora, I'm Holly Buchanan. A project designed to prevent further erosion at Ocean Beach is entering its final stage. The Dunedin City Council last month pushed back the time frame for completion after one of the sandbags was overfilled. But with that issue now remedied, contractors are getting set to leave the site better than they found it.
Getting the rocks rolling. The Dunedin City Council project to install large sand sausages at Ocean Beach to prevent further dune erosion has been one full of challenges. However, after a 2-week delay, Asset and Commercial Manager Tom Dyer says the project has hit a milestone.
We've got practical completion happening today, so all of the sand sausages are in. We're just starting to basically disestablish from the site.
He says over the course of the works, a number of rocks have been used to help support the dunes, while the sand sausages were filled. Now the project is winding up, it's time to put everything back where it belongs.
We used some rock bunding to protect the sausages as we were installing them, and that's all being taken away now and taken off site.
The site still remains off limits to the public, with a few final tasks being undertaken by contractors.
Cleaning up some of the debris that's from past projects.
Dyer anticipates everything will be complete and contractor Fulton Hogan off site by early next week. Daryl Baser, 39, Dunedin News.
A new discovery into the way certain bees control the reproduction of their workers has an Otago research team excited. They've been able to show that queen bees produce a pheromone that inhibits ovary function in worker bees, and the mechanism through which it occurs was unknown until now.
A team of University of Otago researchers have discovered how queen honeybees control the reproduction of worker bees. They say queen bees produce a pheromone that inhibits ovary function in workers. But the mechanism through which this occurs was unknown until now.
We found the molecular switch which causes those ovaries to be turned off. So we don't know how the queen mandibular pheromone exactly works, except right at the end we know exactly what genes and what processes turn that ovary off.
Honeybees are social insects with an intricate hierarchy that needs to be managed. Dunedin says controlling the workers comes down to an ancient cell mechanism called notch.
It's present in all animals, and we know it's present in me and it's present in you, because if your notch cell signaling pathway doesn't work, then you die as an embryo. So it's very, very ancient, and it's very, very specific, particularly involved in making your nervous system. But we found that it does some other job in the bees.
Dunedin says the discovery has stirred interest in the scientific community. He says the notch mechanism is well known to geneticists, but to find it where they did was surprising.
This is something that most insects don't do and has evolved in these sort of social insects. But what we found is that actually we're redeploying this really old cell signaling pathway, and that seems to be doing the job. And I think that's kind of interesting. Instead of involving a whole new pathway, they just use one that they had lying around.
Beekeepers already use a synthetic version of the pheromone when the queen is not around. But Dunedin says this discovery could be employed to control populations of other, less desirable insects. Jack Conroy, 39 Dunedin News.
For the past month, a pair of visiting American academics have been looking for ways to tackle climate change. They're now set to exhibit all their findings at Otago Museum, where they've been based during their time in Dunedin. And they're hopeful that the work on display will be continued by others locally, even after they depart.
Putting on the final touches. These two American researchers are winding up their time in Dunedin by staging an exhibition based on their research into climate change issues. The highly visual display is a result of a solid month of hard work.
It has been an amazing month. We've gotten to talk to so many people in the community, in the museum, curators, as well as the university, and working with students has been really fun, as well as community leaders really interested in climate change and how that's affecting the South Island.
There are several interactive elements in the display, including a look at the way different streetlights impact what stars are seen in the sky. A lot of what's on display here is the work of a handful of community groups who worked alongside Ferguson and research partner Sarah Dean.
As well, we have our own work, which is a collection of investigations and speculations about both the use of a science museum collection and how to curate climate at an institution like this, as well as coming out of our conversations with professors and scientists in the community.
Ferguson says the exhibition is designed to be a prototype, with the public encouraged to take the ideas presented and build upon them.
We're hoping the pieces really travel to other conferences, other street festivals, and continue to grow dialogue. One of the pieces is a community map that's an overview of Dunedin with little stickers that represent things like sustainability, bicycle zone, caution area, and we're hoping people take those stickers and put them on the map to populate it as kind of a participatory project.
Tahuna School is set to use that information to create a digital map to be distributed to the community. It's just one way the pairs' work will continue to progress, even after they depart. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Dunedin mothers have been celebrating World Breastfeeding Week by feeding their babies in public. The display was part of the 6th annual worldwide Big Latch On event, and while the city's snow day meant fewer women taking part, there was still plenty of hungry bubs fed.
Enjoying mother's milk. A handful of Dunedin mothers and their children are taking part in this year's Latch On event in support of World Breastfeeding Day. Kari Clifford, a peer supporter at the Breast Room, says the local women are among many around the world.
And it's a global phenomenon, and all of the numbers will get collated, and we try to build it up every year to support breastfeeding and show support for women to breastfeed in public.
Clifford says New Zealanders fare quite well in their acceptance of breastfeeding in public, doing better than in some other countries.
So in New Zealand, I think it's a way of overcoming that shyness, but globally, certainly there's a lot of problems. There was a lady in Argentina who was asked to stop breastfeeding in public by the policeman, and there were a lot of protests afterwards. My home country of America, people are supposed to be supported with breastfeeding, but there is a lot of public backlash against women breastfeeding in public.
Dunedin mother Emma Collins spent the latch-on period feeding 2 of her 3 daughters at the same time. But it's a task she says hasn't always been easy.
I struggled a lot 10 years ago with my eldest, and so this time round I made sure I got the right support and knowledge to do it, and successfully managed with her for nearly 2 years before this one came along, and the momentum carried on, and it's a natural thing for me now, but it wasn't always easy.
Collins says social media groups and support agencies like La Leche League and the Breast Room offer support to mothers wanting more information about breastfeeding. Event organisers say they're grateful to those who donated both the venue and food for the event, helping provide sustenance to be passed on to these little ones. Daryl Baser, 39, Dunedin News.
A survivor of childhood sexual abuse has returned to the city to launch a petition. Grant Worth wants the New Zealand government to hold a royal commission of inquiry into the systematic abuse of children in state care, and he's attracted substantial support from some big names.
The signs on the table say it all. Grant Worth grew up in Otago, going from being abused in his family home to further abuse in foster homes. However, he says this crusade isn't about his story. He's doing it for all the children who are abused by caregivers.
We've got to try and open this up and get people out there to talk about what's happened and to learn from what's happened from the past.
Worth is asking people to sign a petition he's put together calling for a royal inquiry into child abuse in New Zealand. But he says as of right now, the Prime Minister's office has not been helpful.
I've had emails backwards and forwards with his office, and under his guidance he's told me that there's never going to be a royal commission under his while he's Prime Minister. It ain't going to happen.
He's formed a trust and is collecting funds to help the campaign, which he says will end on the steps of Parliament mid-month, with support from a handful of MPs.
I've got Stuart Nash from Napier and Chris Fafate, who is the mana. He's a cabinet minister now. He's handing it in and he's tabling the petition. I've also got Calvin Davis, who is going to be on the steps of Parliament on the 15th to receive the petition.
Worth plans to have his stand out again at the farmers market before beginning a trip around the country, gathering as many signatures as possible. Daryl Baser, 39, Dunedin News.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, the silence is broken at the Central City Library, but for a good reason. And tertiary students share their research and experiences in the hope it'll inspire others to study. Welcome back. Silence was broken at the Dunedin City Library as a group of teens filled the airspace with constant chatter. However, it was fully sanctioned by staff and part of a nationwide campaign celebrating community access radio. It's a first for the Youth Zone team and was also a chance to let budding broadcasters flex their vocal cords.
Taking over the airwaves.
And welcome back to Otago Access Radio 105.4 FM, and we are live from the teen
Readers
space.
at the Dunedin City Library were treated to a live radio show as part of the nationwide campaign, The Big Listen. This was the first time the Youth Zone team have broadcast from the library, the teen space proving the perfect location for the budding broadcasters to deal with their new types of pressure.
Keeps them on their toes. You know, there's a live audience. When you're in the studio, you know, you could imagine people aren't there, but this time we had some beanbags and seats set up, so, you know, it's a bit different, and they gain skills from it as well.
The station is proving to be a stepping stone for many young enthusiasts. There are 12 community access radio stations in New Zealand, each of them providing training facilities, enabling anyone to make their own radio program.
But I've also had the opportunity to interview people as well, and that's really cool. Interviewing different people, seeing where they come from, seeing what they do.
It wasn't all just interviews, with the audience being treated to a mix of presenting, discussions, and of course some music, with a special live performance.
Dad, my mama don't know, and baby I've been moving on, but I think you showed me something I don't want to hold back.
A big focus of the event is to connect with the wider public.
I really like when people are really passionate about getting what they love on the radio. So I really like running with people's ambition and, you know, their passion for something, and then, you know, seeing them accomplish stuff.
The event has hopefully sparked new passion for broadcasting in some of the crowd. Otago Access Radio will look to get out and about more to inspire their next big on-air talent. Henry McMullen, 39, Dunedin News.
International technology and satellite tracking systems are just some of the tools a South Island ski field uses to keep safe. And with thousands of lives at stake, ski field staff say it's important to keep on top of the mountain's forever changing conditions.
More than meets the eye. That's what's involved in the day-to-day operations on a ski field, with the monitoring and controlling of the snow available on the mountain. Cardrona Ski Field is utilising the French and German SnowSat system to do this. Installed last year, the system uses detailed maps of the snowfield, with the trails layered over the top to show how much snow is on the fields. Snow and Terrain Manager David Collette says it's accurate to around 2 to 3 centimetres.
It's about managing the snow, and I think it's about managing costs and not over making snow, because to make snow is expensive. And we can go on there and go, right, we don't need to make snow here anymore, whereas in the past we'd just keep guns going for the sake of it, not knowing what was in there. And it's coming into springtime going, okay, we need to make more snow in these areas because we want to get through to the end of the season.
The state-of-the-art machines are each worth around $500,000 and have operating costs of about $250 an hour. But Collette says the SnowSat system has already paid for itself.
With operating, you can track where a machine's been all night long, how much fuel it's been burning, and when services need done. So, you know, it's just an ongoing sort of tracking system of the machines and the snow, really.
10 operators work 12 to 13 hours per day and into the night to keep the fields groomed and the roads safe. Collette and the team move snow around the mountain and sculpt out the best possible terrain for visitors, working with naturally made snow and the more expensive man-made snow. The team work all year round, sculpting the earth in the summer and working with the snow in the winter months to offer the best and safest experience for visitors. Daryl Baser, 39, Dunedin News.
Encouraging undergraduates to continue their studies was one aim of an event held at the University of Otago. Postgraduate Maori science students were given the opportunity to share their research with the wider community. But it also had the benefit of giving speakers essential skills they'll need later in their chosen careers.
Sharing their learning experiences and inspiring others is all part of a seminar hosted by the Te Raupuputāo, the Maori Science Students Association, and organisers say it has multiple benefits.
It's incredibly important in probably any profession that you can network and you know people, you know your peers, you know people who may be able to help you out in the future. So I guess one of the number one things is networking and opening up pathways for our tauira or students.
The seminar allows postgrads to not only share their research, but to give a glimpse into what life is like for them at this academic level. A capacity crowd listened to the speakers and the event was streamed live.
I think it's really important that the audience is fully aware of all the great things that Māori students are achieving, especially here at the University of Otago. We have so many phenomenal students who are making incredible advancements in their own areas, and I think it's just a great opportunity for us to celebrate their achievements.
First-time speaker Brittany Beavis saw the seminar last year and decided to give it a go. Preparing ahead of the event, one of the challenges was to break down the language so it was more understandable. She wants people to take away more than just knowledge.
The biggest thing for me is to inspire other Māori students, not only within nutrition but throughout the whole of the university, to get in touch with their associated groups. So for us it's Te Raupuputāo, and get in touch with them because they've got some brilliant support networks and like seminars like tonight and just incredible opportunities to network and learn, and I think it's a really, really valuable experience.
10 speakers shared their experience on a wide range of topics, from healthy eating and genetics to microbiology and geology. Dee Karen, 39 Dunedin News.
And just ahead on Southern Newsweek, rhythmic gymnasts get a taste of what it's like to be in a highly competitive environment. And young filmmakers spend the day learning the art of storytelling through a visual medium. Welcome back. Young gymnasts with dreams of competing at a national or even international level put their skills to the test recently. The Otago Rhythmic Gymnastics Championships is the biggest event of its kind at this end of the country, and it gives participants the chance to experience a highly competitive level of competition.
Keeping in time to the music, as well as balancing and staying composed, are skills these girls have plenty of. The Otago Rhythmic Gymnastics Champs attracted 164 competitors from all over the country, and it's an important qualifier for many of those taking part.
There's only a limited number of sanctioned competitions per year, and that gives them the opportunity to make sure that they've qualified for nationals.
The girls are aiming for national and international competitions, but to get there takes many hours of dedication to their chosen sport.
So a lot of training goes in for these individuals, plus they may also be in a group. So you're looking at possibly 12, 15 hours a week.
As the Olympics in Rio gets into full swing, these girls are closely following the gymnasts on the world stage. And it's an event that has a huge impact on the sport locally.
We've got people in the sport that are passionate about rhythmic gymnastics. So yes, they will be glued to their television sets. Each time the Olympics comes up, there is a new grade, there's a new standard set, there's different types of qualifications they want to see, different categories, more emphasis on different types of skills. So yes, the sport gets revised nearly after every Olympics.
It's skills like these that all those hours of training and hard work could see some of these girls representing their clubs at the highest levels. For the first time, the New Zealand National Gym Sports Championships is to be held in Invercargill this September. Dee Karen, 39 Dunedin News.
High school pupils with an aptitude for science are getting some hands-on experience. A group of pupils has visited one of the country's leading innovators in the modern engineering arena as part of a program organised by the Methodist Mission. And the programme's coordinators are hoping to expand.
Blinding them with science. From the classroom to the factory floor. This group of high school pupils visited Scott Technology this week to get a hands-on appreciation of how science can work in the workforce. The scheme is run by the Methodist Mission, and its business coordinator, Jimmy McLaughlin, says the Science Works program is helping further educate some of the city's youngsters.
The idea behind the program is to give Year 9 and 10 students a really good behind-the-scenes, hands-on look at where science can lead them in terms of career pathways, and hopefully to encourage them to get involved with science in Year 11 and beyond.
He says the organisation is hoping to grow the program.
So we're looking to expand the program next year. We're funded for the third and fourth term. So we're going to give it an initial go with the 4 schools that we've got lined up. We're really hopeful that with the support of businesses like Scott that the program's going to be successful, and we can look to carry it on in the future, increase the number of schools that are involved, increase the number of students, and then we've had great support from local business, so really excited about that for next year.
McLaughlin says they hope the short course is intensive and hands-on. The initiative is funded by the Ministry of Business and Enterprise, and McLaughlin says they're working with pupils from Bayfield as well as Kaikorai Valley College. Daryl Baser, 39, Dunedin News.
And finally, a group of young filmmakers recently spent a day learning the art of storytelling from a visual perspective. The Outlook for Someday project aims to get youth involved in film with a focus on sustainability. By the end of the day, the filmmakers had completed an entire short movie that was competition ready.
Lights, camera, action. The Outlook for Someday is a film project for young people. Many of them have loads of experience with technology, so they're focusing on idea development.
They don't tend to need a lot of guidance, or they're at least learning off each other. There's always a few pretty skillful people amongst the group, so it's ideas. That's where they need help.
The films centre around sustainability, a topic they know a lot about.
But for some of them, other issues are really important, and so we partly do these workshops to get them thinking around sustainability and finding something that matters for them.
Budding filmmaker Isaac Douglas is interested in action movies, but he attended the workshop to gain valuable filmmaking skills.
We've been learning more techniques about editing and sound design and how to make the lighting better, and more tips about how to make it engaging.
His group's film touched on the serious topic of greed and consumerism. Another group was tackling the issue of poverty in New Zealand, and the workshop was helping them discover new techniques.
Like the lightings of shooting a film is very important, and we learnt a lot about that. And we learnt about all the different ways you can make a film, all the different ways you can make a different shot or different angles of the camera.
The Outlook for Someday is a nationwide program free to all, and by the end of August, nearly 1,000 kids will have been to the workshops. It all culminates in the short films being entered into a competition. D. Karen, 39, Dunedin News.
And that's all for this edition of Southern Newsweek. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, or you can keep up with Dunedin News via our website, dunedintv.co.nz. I'm Holly Buchanan, thanks for watching.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.